Hello again, I am Blighty. Hey, did you need a reminder today that we live in a dystopia? That there's I don't know, no such thing as ethical consumption under capitalism. That we live in a world where we don't so much have a justice system, but a legal system, which has justice as kind of a tertiary consideration. And it's a two-tiered system. There's the regular people, and there's anybody with more money than God, and they get treated very, very differently. Well, I hope you did need a reminder, because here comes Disney's lawyers, and I use heavy inverted air quotation things to say lawyers, because, I mean, technically that's their job, but they would more accurately be described as shit demons from Satan's very own asshole, because they are monstrous people, horrific people, if you could even call them people at all. How do you define a person, really, when it comes to, morality, for example, or just how you treat other people? Is there a legal definition is there a line in the sand there? Because in my world there would be. Under my glorious leadership, people like Disney's lawyers would not have legal personhood, because they just don't respect other people at all. You probably already know about this because it's going viral right now. It's in the title and thumbnail of this video, presumably, so you know exactly what I'm talking about. But there was a doctor and her husband who went to Disneyland. But the doctor, well, she has some fairly severe food allergies. No nuts, no dairy. Severe, you could die kind of food allergy. This isn't just breaking out in a rash. This is the throat closes up, anaphylaxis, can't breathe, gonna die kind of allergy. So they did the responsible thing, as you do if you live with a food allergy that severe. You check the website before you go, and you check out, well, are these restaurants we're planning to eat at, is there a allergy safe one? And yep, sure enough, there it was on the website. They chose a place that said, you know, they look after people with allergies, and it's safe, and it's, you know, dairy-free, nut-free options, blah, blah, blah. And then they checked again and were reassured by the staff, apparently more than once, that this food was safe for her to eat when she went to Disney World and went to one of the restaurants there and had a meal. Turns out not so much, because later that evening, well, the allergy kicked in because she was fed something that she shouldn't have been fed, and unfortunately died. Autopsy was done with reference to her medical records, and apparently it showed very high levels of the allergens that were problematic to her. Not just trace amounts, but very high amounts is the wording in the article that I read. I'll link that in the down below for you. I'm not going to read the article because it's a very dry bones article. It's from a legal website, so it's not very journalistically written for interest. It's very much just, here are the facts. Now, if we lived in a sane world, well, that's wrongful death at the very kindest interpretation, and criminal negligence at the other end, depending on how that mistake was made. Right? We don't know the details of that yet. That's what you go to court to discover. You go through the process and you find evidence and you sort out, well, who's to blame, how much of blame is there, and what is the legal consequence for that blame. That's supposedly what the legal system is there for. However, Disney's lawyers say, actually, no, you can't take us to court because we accidentally killed your wife because you signed up for Disney Plus. That's not the joke. That's what the lawyers actually said. Because here's the thing, when you sign up for Disney Plus, or pretty much any of these services, there's usually something in the legalese to help protect the company from, well, in general, frivolous stuff. But often it covers way more than it needs to, because, well, lawyers will always get away with everything they possibly can within the letter of the law, not the intent of the law. So when you sign up to Disney Plus, even if it's just a trial, you agree to the terms and conditions which state, well, if there is a problem, some sort of legal issue, well, you are required to come to us, not the legal system. You come to us and we'll get it sorted out using a third-party arbitrator, who we pick, by the way. The umpire that gets to decide who's right and who's wrong here, we get to pick them. So that seems fair to you, doesn't it? You want to watch The Mandalorian, don't you? Now, I've seen this kind of terminology in a lot of contracts that I've personally agreed to, and my assumption has always been that is within the bounds of that service. So, in the Disney Plus agreement, you'd think, well, if there is a problem with the Disney Plus thing, if there's some sort of legal disagreement there, that's when the arbitration happens. Not anything at all that happens under the Disney-owned umbrella of any product, service, or location that they could possibly own. That would be the reasonable person's assumption of that legalese, right? There is a slightly more solid footing because you also agree to similar kind of terms when you buy a ticket for a theme park like Disney. And again, I've done this myself a couple of times. I've been to Disneyland, that's the one in California. Also Universal Studios went there. I think they had the same kind of thing as well. Point is, you buy tickets and there's usually some sort of thing as, in case of accident or injury, you agree to, settle this outside of the court system or come to us first or, however it's worded. Just to stop people doing the old, trip and fall kind of scam, things like that, just to help keep that out of the courts. And that's the most generous interpretation of that system that I could possibly give you. But they do tend to abuse it because, of course, you would if you're a lawyer. And again, my assumption, common sense assumption would be, well, in the case of an actual accident, you fall off one of the rides and you dislocate your shoulder, or any number of things that could potentially happen accidentally at a theme park through either just pure chance or maybe there was a bit of negligence of how the rides were maintained or something. Whatever it is, that's what that kind of clause is there for. But I would have thought if there was a wrongful death or legitimate criminal negligence that caused someone to die, maybe that kind of stuff should be legitimately handled by a court of law. Because someone's dead. And it might be your fault. I feel like the kind of severity of that situation steps above arbitration. I don't think anybody should be able to sign away their rights to legally pursue reparations for wrongful death in a theme park. This kind of stuff is used by lawyers to stretch the court proceedings out as long as possible. They throw as much at the wall as possible, as quickly as they can, and drain these things out as long as possible, because guess what? They've got basically infinite money, and a regular person, not so much. Sooner or later, they're trying to exhaust the regular person, just monetarily wise, make it so ruinous for them as a person, they cannot continue, and they are forced to abandon or settle out of court. Because the last thing the Disney lawyers want is a precedent set, legally speaking. Because if this goes to court, and if you have a judge with any scraps of human morality left, they would side against Disney. And the last thing companies like Disney want is a precedent set legally that other cases can point to, going, hey, this case here, see where it negated that bullshit in the contract about being forced to go outside of the legal system and use a third-party arbitrator picked, by Disney or the big company themselves. That this case here negates all of that. So we're just going to court now. They don't want a precedent set against that. They want to be able to lean on this sleazy crap in their contracts and just be as ruinous as possible to as many people as possible so they don't have to take any responsibility for accidentally killing somebody. And it's so stupid. It is so dumb. Because lawyers don't think like normal people. A normal person, when faced with a situation, you're in a room, you're having this discussion, what's the best way to move forward with this, for the company, because that's your responsibility. If you're a lawyer for a company, that you have to look after your client, that's the job. What's the best way to look after this situation? Do we create a horrific shitstorm of PR disaster, making us look like actual demons from the asshole of Satan, and literally making us look like an actual evil empire? Or how about we talk to this person? We're going, okay, what happened was horrible. Let's just get this sorted out. You have this suit filed, you turn up at court, and you settle. All right? You don't want to set a precedent, obviously, we just talked about that. You don't make this public shitstorm and you go, no, actually you can't sue us for accidentally killing your wife because you wanted to watch The Mandalorian. So there. You threw away all your legal rights because you wanted to watch some Star Wars on our streaming service. This is why I don't consider Disney lawyers human. They don't think like people. They are monsters, literal, figurative monsters. Just, someone died, mate. Someone accidentally died. They did everything they were supposed to do. They checked the website. They checked with the serving staff. Something went wrong. Why don't you figure out what went wrong, fix that, and also do everything you can to make things good with the widower? All right? Happiest place on earth? That's your whole thing, right? Do that. Be good to people. Just be a good corporate citizen. Like, we all know you're morally corrupt to begin with, but there is a path to protect yourself and do what's right. And you decided not to take it. Instead, you decided to stand up and go, actually, because every time something, and it's not like this first time something like this has happened, but every time something like this happens, I beg for it to go through the complete court system and set a precedent. So everyone else who comes after can go, because this is not the world we should be living in. We should have a justice system, not a legal system. It's revolting to see this kind of story come up. I've been boiling on this for like the last hour. I didn't even plan on making a video, but it's just one of those things that buried itself in my brain. I'm like, I'm going to have a little rant about this. Otherwise, I can't get on with my day. Anyway, said my piece. I'm gone. Thanks, patrons. Catch you next time. Fuck you, Disney! Monsters.